As a child, I used to look up in the sky and search for the three magic kings to make a wish. 42 years later, I learned these three little stars were no other but the famous Orion's Belt constellation, and the star in the middle was named Alnylam, which is the company I currently work for. It's been an interesting journey, as minimum to say to anyone who would like to understand the challenges associated with international mobility and cliches based on gender roles among expat families. Ironically, just after moving here, I had a chance to picture the road ahead, but I chose to keep on looking at the rear mirror instead. When the first month after moving, I was asked by the career supporting agency to do a so-called employability test as a way to prove I could be given a chance to try and not being tagged as the following spouse who puts on hold her career for the well-being of the family. Being questioned about my employability and my professional capacity to adapt and to integrate in a new market felt like being an electronic device made in Mexico, reassembled in Belgium, and it was not sure it could be plugged in and work being functional in Switzerland. That was a moment where I felt powerless. Eventually, I proved to have a solid legal background to assure me at least the benefit of the doubt to be given a chance. To put some figures, it took me 26 months of intensive job search, 167 job applications, and more than 300 emails until I landed my first job in Switzerland. Despite all the differences, language, culture, lifestyle, laws and regulations, I decided to follow Darwin's rule number 1. Adaptability and my constant need for learning were a lifesaver for me. During my first year living in Switzerland, I did a lot of networking. I volunteered for different organizations, V-Day Basel, TEDx Basel, and PWG, Professional Women's Group Basel. And after 1 year of intensive job search, I asked to myself some of the questions most of job seekers ask themselves at some point, like, what am I doing wrong? Which skills am I lacking? And most important, am I worth enough to be given a chance? And suddenly, one day, I realized that the problem might not be me, but there was something I didn't know before. So I looked for answers and I started to research to understand the work situation among expats in Switzerland. I am a lawyer, but I love to use graphs and figures to explain complicated things. I was quite surprised to learn that the second main reason for people to end up here in Switzerland is because they move for their partner's career. 62% of the population are reported to be in a relationship. And if we look into the gender, we see that 60% of total expats population is female. Next question was, which percentage of this population is working? Roughly 50%. And then you can see there's only 13% reported as job seekers. But there's this huge gap of about 40% that you don't know what they are really doing. Skiing in Zermatt, hiking near the 5 lakes, or maybe they are taking care of their families. Then I asked to myself, what may be seen as challenges for an expat who wants to restart their career when you move to a new country? First of all, you need a work permit, then you need to speak the local language. Eventually, it comes to the qualifications or recognition of your diploma. And finally, there's something I became aware of at that moment that is called unconscious bias, which is nothing else than prejudices, behaviors, attitudes, or patterns we follow without even noticing. And it turns out that we apply these biases as a result of automatic processes happening in our brain when we deal with certain information that doesn't require us to be making conscious decisions, just like walking or breathing. In fact, there's serious research conducted by Harvard University. They developed the Implicit Association Test. This is a tool to measure social psychology regarding different topics. I did an extrapolation of this test. Let's see my example of different words and how these different words are associated to male or female roles in an expat environment. As you can see, the female role in an expatriate context goes from being supportive or family organizer versus a male role as leader or provider. Being aware of your own unconscious bias might be particularly helpful to disrupt the status quo of certain groups. Did you know that if you are the only woman among the final pool of candidates in a recruitment process, you have very small chances to be hired? Although unemployment rate in Switzerland is relatively low, foreigners make up about half of the unemployment population in Switzerland. We have heard a lot about the glass ceiling, but when it comes to restart your career in another country, there is an invisible glass door. Every time we open a door for men, we need to give equal access to women, because this is how we can make real change. There is a huge need to change the dynamics based on gender roles. It has been proven that women who are offered with an opportunity give all their best, and in most cases, they thrive. Women and men need to work together to create tangible change in any industry, to advance gender equality and women's rights. Give women a chance. This is the way.